Last video recording for today before I pack and leave. I'm thinking about recording 2 other videos, but they can actually wait for tomorrow or later on. But today's video is going to be, if you can't tell by the thumbnail, series that I drop. And today's shoutouts will be, I literally went on my phone to think about the shoutouts, came up with 2, and I guess I immediately forgot it. The first one is Blitz. Not Blitzbringer, but Blitz. I would highly recommend you go watch his content. He makes fun gameplay, and sometimes he features someone else called Assistant. I don't know if you have another YouTube account, or if that's like a legit assistant, but I think it's funnier if you have a YouTube account and you just call him Assistant, or the assistant YouTube account is called Assistant. No, the last person I'd like to give a shout out to is Gabba Lith. They make great dub over content. I highly recommend you go watch it because when they dub it over, it's really funny. But with that being said, if I happen to be mispronouncing your name wrong, if I happen to be mispronouncing your name, y'all, as always, will be the first ads in the description below. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. Sorry, I forgot to close the door behind me. Let's get into today's video about series that I dropped. Now, I drop series for multiple reasons, but something to keep in mind that a lot of times I don't try to drop series, even though I don't find them entertaining. I try to continue reading them, but the most important thing to realize is that some of these series can just be one word, and they're because of time. I didn't have the time frame to make sure, or didn't really feel like squeezing as much series as possible, so I maybe dropped the series for another, or stop reading it for another. Essentially saying the same thing. Or just stop reading because I don't want to spend my time reading this. But I could talk about multiple series, and you like a part 2, make sure you like the video. Let's get this video to 50 likes. And I'll try to release a part 2. Might be a short actually, because a lot of the other series I dropped, they might be for not necessarily good reasons, or they might be for perfectly valid reasons. It just depends on your opinion. But I want to talk about some series that I dropped for, I think, are, maybe petty reasons, but I think are pretty good. The first one I want to talk about is the Druid of, actually, don't know the station name. I actually gotta look this up because I forgot the station name. Soul Station. Okay. I don't know why it's called Soul Station. I don't think they're in Seoul, as far as I remember. But the series wasn't that bad. It was a fun series to read when they were fighting, and that was it. They had nothing really else going for it. The plot wasn't interesting. The character interaction wasn't interesting. If anything, it was a little bit frustrating to see. Not even a dude acting animalistic. No, it was just a dude acting incredibly dumb. I know that he was gone for a long period of time, but some of the things he does is just stupid in my opinion, or unreasonable. And I do understand, he was with animals, so he had to survival of the fittest. But sometimes he just seemed unusually cruel. I don't know, just weird. He seemed unusually mean, especially when it comes to certain people, and pushing to the limits, which I can understand. But it's funny because they try to depict him as a caring person, but he doesn't have any characteristic. Doesn't seem to display any characteristics like that. If you want a great example of how to make a characteristic manipulator, someone who may manipulate you, but they actually care for you, just look at max level. Max. Yeah, I think it's max. What? Max level player level 1. I think that's the name of it. Where he does manipulate people, but he actually cares for the people he care about, and he generally treats them well. But a lot of times he had to make sure they to use them in the most effective way, because they all are gonna die if he doesn't, or at least to make sure he can maximally efficiently get the best thing he can. But of course I'm not advocating for manipulating people in real life. But if you're gonna make a series where the people do that, I think that you can make like this character that wasn't entertaining enough to actually watch him do that, or it was just like really bland, right? Um, but that's one of the reasons. Also, once again, as I said in the video, sometimes time, and I did not feel like being a series that didn't have much going on. The next two series and the last two series I'm going to be talking about, both were very promising, or at least fun to read, but then something happened, right? The advanced player from the tower. What? Holy crap! I cannot pronounce anything today. I do not know why. The advanced player of the Taurus Tower. I sometimes hate webcomic names, or just web mangas and mangas. Sometimes just have the longest name that are complicated. Like a series that I'm probably gonna talk about in part 2 is Tales of the Demon and Gods, which isn't that bad, but like that wasn't necessary. Or the series, the most advanced player from the tutorial tower, just like I don't know. Like even the hardcore leveling warrior roll off a ton, and you have an abbreviation for it, which does not roll a ton. HLCW. I don't know who thought that would be a great abbreviation, but I find it easier to have hardcore leveling warrior roll off a ton than that. But and I think it's interesting because just to get a quick tangent, I think that a great way you would tell if your story is good or your name is good is one, if it doesn't need abbreviation, or two, if even if unabbreviated, it either equal, better than, or just meh when it comes to reading out time. Like take for instance, My Hero Academia. You probably hear me say MHA more often, but it's not a complicated name and can easily roll out tongue. Same thing with DBZ or Dragon Ball Z, right? You're probably gonna hear people say DBZ more because it's shorter to say, but it's roll off the tongue very well and it's better than DBZ in my opinion. Saying DBZ, but it's with DBZ. I mean DBS, do not like that, but Dragon Ball Super is better. So that is a great way for anyone making a title to tell your title is good. Like God Slap, that's a great title. Anyways, this is not gonna be. I'm not talking about it because I haven't read it yet. I really want to, but let's get on to the point of the video. This series was very good. I will say I really liked the power. It was fun to read. It was just a fantasy, and I'm like, oh, this is fun to read. It wasn't anything depth, but I did like some of the things. Like there were no more questions. I did like some of the curiosity of it. Like, oh, what's the point of this tower? What is the tower and whatnot? But generally speaking, you watch it just for the fights. And even when I left off, it was a good series. But a video that's gonna be releasing on Monday, today, recording, or specifically on the 20th of March. Video I'm releasing is called Character Battle, right? And they essentially pull Batman, right? And Damian Wayne, the thing that make it uncomfortable, right? It's a good series, but it's always uncomfortable to see him interact with them now, because essentially what they did was they got him drunk and then did it with them, and then they play it off as a joke. Now I have never been a victim to anything like that, and I don't want to be. I wouldn't wish that upon anyone, but I just think that's just very awkward, and I try to move past it. I'm like, there are, like, people make jokes like that in real life. It doesn't make the joke valid. It's still bad jokes, but people make jokes like that in real life. And I'm trying to move like, okay, well, it's a different culture, so maybe it's a cultural thing. And that's the reason I don't get it. But like, I just could not get past it. And it was every time those two characters were on screen, I just could not get past it. And it was on screen way too often. I just could not get past it. I don't like it. Now, this last series, I would say, have two main reasons why I gave up on it, right? More than the other one, the Druid of Soul Station. God. Where, part of the reason for time. This one was one of the first webtoons I read, right? And I'm gonna be 100% honest. The main character had green hair, and didn't really fan fiction at the time or anything like that. So I was just looking at him like, I like My Hero Academia, and you have green hair, so I think I'm like this. That was the main reason, and then also it kept being advertised on Webtoon. It wasn't the first series I read. I think it was one of the first though. I can't tell you what's the first series I read. If I had to guess, I'll say it was Tower of God. I didn't catch up with that, but it was one of the first series I read, and one of the first series I dropped. Now keep in mind, this is a really good thing. At first I read, but the problem came with the story was getting too complicated, and maybe that's my at the time I wasn't able to think about it that well. So maybe it just wasn't made for me. It was getting too complicated and unnecessarily complicated. But the biggest problem with me that like didn't sit right with me is it felt like they were pulling every part, where they kept trying to add things that did not seem necessary, or seem like a necessary aspect, just because, right? The main character is, I don't know how he ends up, but in his past life, he's gay. Perfectly fine, right? And he dated someone else who the person who he was like hanging out with, right? And I got the sense that, maybe I forgot the name because it's been a while since I read the series. But I got the sense that, okay, maybe the blue hair did date him at one point, or liked him, because they mentioned like dying and losing memory, right? So it wasn't like a surprise when it came. But it was weird because essentially you have like, it was because of how awkward it is, right? It wasn't the fact that, it seemed unnecessary to make him gay, especially when his current life is attracted to women from what it seems like, but at the time they know what bisexual was. I don't think, like, of course they could have just made that easily. It wasn't because of that. It was a lot because the story seemed unnecessarily complicated and kept flipping around too much. Like they wouldn't finish one story arc or like get you a good decent way through. It was like they would cut off in the middle of explanation into something else, and then cut off in the middle of what they're doing into something else, and then cut back to something completely different that you didn't even know about, but then it would be revealed that it was a part of what the dude was doing in the first thing that they cut from. It was really bad jumping around, in my opinion. Once again, maybe because it was younger. I might go back and not reread it. Definitely not, because I haven't even read it. I haven't even caught up to every single chapter of My Hero. Like, I pretty much know everything going on, but I haven't read every single chapter or seen every episode. That will make it so like, oh yeah, I read every chapter. And I haven't even reread My Hero Academia, so I definitely am not rereading this series. But it was terrible jumping around. But I think the thing was very awkward to read because you had essentially, if I recall correctly, you had the main character firstly, right? You had his boyfriend or ex, I guess, in his body trying to control it. And it's already awkward enough when that happens, and I don't really see, like, I guess I understood the point, because it's like, okay, well, someone had to operate the body, but like, he trying to pretend like he was him. It was very awkward to see, but it's not the first time I've seen like a body swap situation, right? Or the first time I heard about it. So it's not too awkward, but the awkward part is like when the girl is making advances to him, and he's like kind of reciprocating it, but he can't fully reciprocate it because he doesn't feel that way towards her. It came a very awkward situation, and I did not feel good with it. I think, right, that if they could at least make it so his original life was doing it, because then it would at least be in his characteristic, then, even though he's gay, right, he could actually act well enough for it to not be that awkward, I think. But because it's like, I don't know, I want to hammer that, right? It wasn't the fact that, like, that the main character was gay, right? Because I want to make sure that I heavily express this, right? It was just the fact that they put him in an extremely awkward situation because of that. Like, I don't think it would have not been half as awkward if the main character who was attracted to the girl was in the same situation, except the dude who was also like who had control of his body was also attracted to this girl. I mean, at least girls, because at least they could act out it. It just didn't. It just didn't feel. It felt incredibly weird. That's the best way I can say it. It was incredibly awkward to watch, and I think part of the reason was like in my head I was like, first of all I was like, wait, does that mean the main character is like boys and girls, or like what's the deal? Cause I was like, does that mean his past life? Because his past life like dudes, but it's currently like girls, or is it like he like both? I was confused about that, but that wasn't. That was just a part of the confusion. But like I don't know how to express it. It just was very weird to see and very awkward. So I was like, this is like the story isn't doing as well as it was before, and it's very confusing. Keep hopping around, and then this is just very, very, very awkward to read. It if the point was to make it feel awkward to a high extent, it really succeeded. Maybe too well. The best way to put it, actually, I think, is an awkward scene that stays in welcome for too long. And that's the best reason I could say that I dropped it. So, will I recommend any of these series? I would like to say, maybe. The Druid Station, no. The Ruins of Sword, I think if you can get past, I'm gonna try, I don't know. If you could get past that awkward point in the story, the story itself was really good, right? So if you can get past that awkward point, I think that it could actually become a better story. But what I say to be like, oh no, this is gonna be amazing, no. The awkward point is just way too long and too weird for me. But yeah, no, this series I would recommend. The best player, I'm just gonna call it best player. I would say that up until the more recent chapters, you are good to watch and it would be very entertaining. But it really depends on how well you can handle the joke that they're making essentially out of the situation, on whether or not you can keep reading it. It is very good outside the scenes where you see his students. That I think is even weirder because this is students. Like you would think that if I wouldn't want this to happen to me, right? But you would think that, at least if it was your students, that, like, they would not, essentially make you drunk and then do it. They would at least, make sure you did it while you were sober. Versus, like, if it's just a random woman, maybe then. Like, at least it would be like, well, you don't personally know me. Or, I didn't literally train you. If it was just a random woman. I wouldn't. I think it would still be awkward in any situation, especially because they play it off for jokes. So, But I would say if you can move past that, will recommend for like a power fantasy, or just seeing someone beat people up with a slipper. But besides that, that's all for today's video. Once again, today's shoutouts are Blitz and can't think of the second one. Give me a second. I think it's a very interesting thing with this video, where I had things put up outside of that. I would like to get Ghibli's live. Ghibli live. But let me just say thank you for watching. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. I enjoyed the video. I did a kind of different thing where I'm trying to get used to looking at the camera. I always try to anyways, but a lot of times when I look at the camera, I have to look at the screen directly. So what I'm trying to get used to being able to look at the screen, and eventually I want to get to the point where I can look at the screen while having the everything going on my laptop. And maybe I would like to buy a pointer at one point, or like something to slide around. That way, I can keep my hands out of my thing, or if I put my hands in my pocket, I can slide up, and that would make it easier to do like Astro chapter reviews. Like maybe if I want to specialize in one series, I could actually be scrolling with it, like the thing, like okay, I'd rather see receipts on my opinion to begin with, but let me just view up on the thing, and I'd be able. Don't it'd be if I can do this correctly. Please let me know if y'all like the way I did it and if it was good, in your opinion. But if I can do this successfully, I might be able to just have the character name up finally, without needing 2 laptops. But with that being said, thank you for watching today's video once again. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Today's shoutouts with Blitz and Ghibli Live. But as always, I haven't even pronouncing your name wrong. Y'all be the first asked in the description below. See y'all next time.